Hello there, and welcome to a dose of divine inspiration. I'm your host, Sue London. I'm really excited to have you here with me because this is the show where you're going to experience heartfelt stories of faith, love, and miracles, reminding you that you are never alone on this journey. Now, the story today is about being present and following the guidance from above to support a grieving man named John. So here's the story. Back in 2004, we had 6 months earlier been to Hawaii, had a wonderful trip for 3 weeks. Incredible. We come back from the trip and the phone rang, and my husband Ross answered the phone, and we had been invited during this call to go to Las Vegas for a week. Now, we are people that love spiritual, outdoors, nature. We are not people that love the gambling, the drinking, the partying, and that. Totally different spectrums, right? But something told me when Ross said, "What do you think about going to Las Vegas?" Something pulled in me and told me that we had to take this trip. I didn't know why at the time, but I knew it was really important that we go on this trip. So I said to him, "Yeah, we need to take this trip." Then we were thinking about, we have a young daughter at home. What, who's going to look after her? And then all of a sudden I heard, you need to take her on this trip with you. Now, if you've been to Las Vegas, you know it's not family orientated. But instead of questioning it right away, I said to Ross, we need to take our daughter with us. I don't know why, but there's a reason for it. So we accepted, we had free accommodations. It was, a perfect trip if you like to go to Las Vegas and do your thing, whatever that is. So anyways, we went on the trip and we got there. And the one thing that our family knows is that when something like this happens, it's being divinely guided, and something always happens where we're being put in the right place at the right time to help someone in need, whether that's a person or a pet. We didn't know why we were there, but we just were, being present and following, our guidance, or my guidance, I should say, of where we needed to go and talk to who we had to talk to. So what happened was the first day, we just kind of walked around, nothing happened. The second day we were walking by Treasure Island Casino, and all of a sudden this man came to me and said, would you like free tickets for it? It was for a show, it was for dinner, and it was for something else. I can't remember at this time. And I knew that this was the beginning of what was about to unfold. And we accepted the tickets. And then the next night, so this is night 3, okay, we decided we were going to go for dinner, and then we would be aware of our surroundings and be present. So we went to the casino where the dinner was, and it was a casino we'd never been in before. And we were standing in line, and I said to Ross that the reason why we are here is because of the man standing right behind me. I felt this man, I hadn't seen what he looked like, but I knew this man was having a lot of heartache in his life. He was alone, and I knew that for some reason, I would learn why, but we had to help him. So I leaned into Ross and I said to him, the reason why we're here is standing right behind me. You need to ask this man to join us for dinner. Now, one thing that my husband Ross has said to me over the years is that when he knows that there's something about to happen, I get a look on my face. I don't know what that look is. He'll have to take a picture of me one of these times for me to share with you. But anyways, he knows the look, and he, turned to the man behind, and right away the man caught himself staring at me, and he right away apologized to Ross, and he said that he was very sorry that he had been staring at me, and that, Ross was a very lucky man to have such a beautiful family, beautiful daughter, and that he just needed to tell him that, he had a beautiful family. So Ross said to him, hey, like, you look like you're alone, and how would you like to join, my wife and I and my and daughter, and we, like have dinner together? And the man right away said, oh, I couldn't infringe on your time. And Ross said, no, 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 we really like meeting people. So the man joined us for dinner. We all sat down. And what happened was that I just let God channel through me. I knew that there was something big happened in this man's life. He was grieving. I could feel pain in my heart as I was, in his presence. So I knew there's a lot of heartache. So I just simply, said to God, please let me be, the vessel to channel your message to this man. So the man, we learned his name was John, and he was about 74, 75 years old, I'd say. And, we were sitting, and as we were sitting together, we would see him crack a smile. And Ross was beside me, and I'd squeeze his hand that, this is really good. What's happening? This man's smiling now. And I just simply said to him, if, you had one wish, what would that be? And he said, I really, really wish that I could make my 11-year-old granddaughter a Sunday. But that's impossible for me now because I'm getting older. I don't have the strength to go from, I live in Las Vegas. I don't have the strength to go from there to the East Coast. I don't have that strength for the travel. But I really wish I could make her a Sunday. And she's 11 years old. So, I really wish I could see her growing up. So right away, our daughter, who happened to be 11 years old, she picked up on this and she said to John, how would you like to make me that Sunday? I'd really like it if you'd make me that Sunday. Now, I got to tell you, there's not a prouder moment for parents when you see your child wanting to help another person. And they got up together and, he was making this sundae. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, look at the sugar, the candy. Oh my gosh. Because that was, not something that we would normally have. And so anyways, he's making this sundae and he's happy and they're laughing together. And it was such a special moment to see that he had taken and fulfilled his wish of making the sundae through our daughter, who was the same age as his granddaughter. So that was very special for us. So we were sitting there and, they came back and he thanked us for allowing him to make our daughter this Sunday. So again, we're sitting there and we're just having small chat. And then all of a sudden, I saw this lady in spirit standing behind John. And I said, so John, tell us about your life. We're Canadian and, what's it like living in hot weather like this? Like we get snow and, just maybe a lot of small talk and waiting for something to unfold around this lady, knowing her presence was there. And he said, he says, I have to thank you. He said, you don't realize this, but I am here fulfilling a wish. My wife of 40 to 45 years had just passed 3 months earlier. And on her deathbed, while he was holding her hand, she said, John, you have to promise me that you will go back to our spot. And this was his spot. They had gone to this casino. They had the same room every year for 38 years. He found it really difficult to be in the room. He had so many memories flashing back. He just found that everybody was in the party mood and he was not happy. He wasn't celebrating. He just was lost. He was in so much pain. He felt so alone. And what he didn't realize, his wife on the other side was with him all along. She was right there in the room. She was right there when he drove there. She stayed with him and she wanted to comfort him. And she chose us. God chose us to be the ones to tell him that he's never alone and to help him fulfill that wish. So while we were talking, he said, I had to promise her that I would come back to this place. And it is one of the hardest things that I've ever done, that I've come back to this casino. I have so many memories going through me that I had wonderful times with my wife. She was so special to me. And he just, you could see him beaming with proudness that he had this special wife, but he lost her and he was grieving and he felt so alone. And she started talking through me to him. And I started sharing, different things. And I said to him, but you're not alone, John. She's still with you. And so, we talked more on that. And that trip was so special to all of us. It was special because I had listened to my intuition. I was in the present moment, so I followed the steps throughout the whole time. My husband picked up on my look, and he knew that he had to help this man as well. Our daughter picked up that this man, she could help fulfill that wish. So it's just special. And I found myself as we were together getting very teary-eyed that we were chosen to help him. So, we were continuing our talk and we were having a wonderful time with him, maybe an hour and a half. We had finished eating long ago and we were still chatting and that, and we were in no hurry. It didn't matter to us if we saw the show. What was special was we had to be there for this man, John. So we stayed with him and kept apologizing. I should go, let you get on. You must have lots to do. We didn't let him know about the tickets or the show that we were missing because that wasn't what was important to us. It was about being there for him. So, we finished our conversation and then we got up and we were saying our goodbyes. And each one of us gave him a hug. And I will never forget how emotional he got by us giving him a hug. Our daughter gave him a hug. He was reflecting on the 11-year-old granddaughter. And, I gave him a hug and he said it had been so long since anyone had hugged him. And he'd forgotten what it felt like to feel love from someone. Yes, he had love from his wife, but he was the caregiver. And she didn't have the strength for, some of the things that you and I would take for granted. So when Ross gave him a hug, he cried. He said, "You're one very lucky man, and don't ever forget that." Of course, Ross, the proud husband, and my special guy said, "I know I'm very lucky, and you are lucky too that she's still with you." So, I want to say to you that you never know where God, his angels, or loved ones will put you. And the biggest thing I can say to you to take away from this is that always be in the present moment. And if you have a thought come to you, don't ignore it because that thought means something. That thought is your higher self, or it is God, or it is, your loved ones choosing you to make a difference for somebody. And I will tell you that was day 3 of our trip, and we were there for 4 more days. And all we could do was talk about how we were so grateful that God and his angels had put us in the place to help John during this hard time. To go and be grieving the loss of your wife and flashing back to, her deathbed and making this promise to go to this empty hotel room, the casino room where they'd spent so many years. It was just so devastating for him. But because we listened to our intuition, because I did not ignore the messages, we went on this trip. Yeah, it was, we had 4 days not after that it didn't matter what we did. But the fact was we had to be there on that day at that time. So when you get a message or a thought that you need to go somewhere, go there right away, because you never know what you're going to be doing. You don't know if you need to give someone a hug. You don't know if there's a loved one that has just crossed and you're going to give them a message. We all have the ability to do this. You just have to tune in to be present and just listen to your thoughts. It's all this is all that you have to do. So many people ignore this, and that, so many um, missed opportunities, let's say, happen because people did not go to where they needed to be to help a person or a pet, even for that matter. Okay. So I want to encourage you to do this. Now, there's a couple things that you can do to get in the present moment. I like to share tools in this as well. So to get in the present moment, the things that I always do is I will ground myself. Now, to ground yourself to be present, you can get out in nature and sit on the grass. You can get by water. You can just sit on your floor if you have to do that, if you can't get out on grass. We live in Canada, so parts of the year we have snow, and I have grass to sit on unless I shovel it away. So sitting on the earth is one. Another one is you can visualize that you have this energy, or this cord going through your body, coming out your tailbone, going into the earth, wrapping around the planet. Okay, that's another way you can ground yourself. Okay. Another thing that you can do is to get into the present is you can meditate. If you meditate every day, it makes it easier for you. You can burn a candle. You can look at the flame. Okay, do that 10 minutes or so. If you can do 20, that's fantastic, because you'll get messages during that time too, as the more you practice it. Okay, so you get in the present moment. You can also, what's really good to do, and for calming yourself, is do the breathing technique. I think I shared this in another episode, but here it is again. It is 6-7-8. So what that is that you will breathe deeply, mouth or nose, whichever is easier for you. I know normally it would be breathing through your nose. If you do that, great. If not, breathe through your mouth for the count of 6. Then after you've breathed in for 6, then you're going to hold that breath for the count of 7. Okay. So then after you finish holding that, then for the count of 8, breathe it out, and do that 4 times in the morning, that cycle. Do it 4 times at night. And if you're stressed or, not grounded, scattered, all this stuff happening, then do it maybe late morning and early afternoon as well. Just kind of listen to your guidance on that. And another thing to do if you want to get messages in your space, in your living space or your office, is you want to clear your clutter, because clutter will affect how you get messages, if you can, with all the clutter around you. So for me, I can't handle lots of stuff around me. It's just makes me feel very ungrounded. So that is something for you to look at. And even for me, like if I know that there's a cupboard, even though that it's closed and out of my sight, I still can feel that clutter. That's where my energy and vibration is at. So I have to be careful, with that. And I do clean out on a regular basis, like 1 to 3 months. Every 1 to 3 months, I'm cleaning out something. Okay, so these are some things, I'm tongue-tied here. These are some things that you can do to help yourself to be in the present moment. Sorry, shuffle my nose here. So another thing that you can do is don't question when you have a thought. Okay, now ways that you get messages are that it can be a thought in your mind. Okay, it can be if you have this ability and you can play with this, you can channel, right? So you take a piece of paper and a pen and you start writing. And for me, I can also channel write. So I can start, with pen to paper and just start writing an article. And this is actually how the title of this podcast came out. Was I was just sitting doodling, and then all of a sudden it came out. So those are some ways. You may hear the same thing over and over. That's another way that you get messages coming to you. Okay. You can also get cards, oracle cards, and you can take them and you can shuffle them and ask, what is a message for me today? And I remember my first experience having these cards was that I can't remember what the deck was, but I was at a point where I was, it was the beginning of the end of my first marriage with my practice husband. And I say my practice husband because I really learned a lot from this man. And I was getting at a point where it just wasn't right for the things that were happening in this marriage. And I just needed him to go on his way. And so every day I would draw a card. And it was crazy that for 2 weeks straight, I kept getting get out and exercise. That was the message I kept getting. Now, what are the chances of you sitting down and shuffling a deck and drawing the same card for that length of time? So talk about me ignoring messages there, right? When you're going through stress, exercise is the best thing for you. But I kept ignoring it, thinking, no, I want the one on abundance, or I want the one on this. So be aware that, when you get a card, it's real. Like when you draw these angel cards, there is a higher power working with you during that time. So that's another way that you can get messages as well. Okay. There's so many different ways that you can be out and you may hear someone say, hey, do you want to come with me here? Or I have someone for you to meet. Don't ever say no. Stop and go in the present moment and then just say to yourself, is this right for me? And you'll hear yes or no. Now, another way to uh, test for yes or no is muscle test. Okay, maybe you've heard about this. So I'm going to show you the way I do it. So I take my fingers, if you can see it. Okay, so I've got my fingers like this. I take my other fingers and I put them through here. So see how I've got them like they're kind of two like this, but they're intertwined, right? So you say is show me yes. So when I say show me yes, do you see how strong that is? It's so strong that I can't get it apart, right? Okay, so that is a yes. Okay, now if I say show me no, do you see how as hard as I try and keep that together, I can't keep it together, right? So show me no. So see how it comes apart? So that's another way that if you're questioning on, is this right for me, or should I go here? You want to make it that your questions are yes or no answers. Okay. That is how you can do that. Years ago, when I was going through Crohn's disease, I went on to go on and heal that. But what I found was figuring out how to eat. My intestine had burst and I lost 3 feet of my intestine during that time. And so for me, the dietitians couldn't tell me how to eat. I had to figure this out. So I would go in the grocery store and I would literally hold something in my hand and I would say, is this good for my body? Yes. First, show me yes, show me no. Okay, so you know how that's going to be. All right. Then also I would hold something and then I'd say, is this good for me to eat? And I would hear yes or no. And so you even want to do that with organic stuff because sometimes you think that, oh gosh, this is great. I'm going to get this organic stuff, whatever vegetable it may be. And you hear no, don't question that. Because I have found with some organic stuff, before I was, doing the muscle testing, I'm still doing this, by the way, this muscle testing on some things. When it comes to organic, is that I was finding that if I didn't do the testing on the organic, I would get home and the next day it had started going bad and you couldn't see it when I was in the store, but the next day, so I wouldn't have gotten, the quality product in that. So don't ever question when you get yes or no on that. Now, I don't have it here with me right in front of me, but you can also use a pendulum and you just hold it up and you would say, show me yes, and it would go in circles or it would go up and down. like this way or like this way, circle or up and down. Okay. And you just have to say, show me yes and show me no. So those are some ways that you can hear, get guidance, get grounded. Messages will come to you in different forms. You yourself can get messages from the other side through songs. If you feel guided to turn on music, then turn it on and listen to the words. Okay. And even you may even want to go as far as listening to the lyrics, go online and search the name of the show, and then you can read the lyrics and see what message is in there for you if you have chills when you listen to that, or if you have a pull to turn on the radio, because there's always a reason for all this. So those are some things that you can do. And I will tell you that I've had it happen many times where I have been able to make a difference for others. And it's a wonderful feeling when you can help someone who's in such horrific pain like John was. And I'm just so grateful that I listen and I follow my guidance that I'm given. And, I know that my husband Ross has often said that when we first started dating, he'd say, I'm his adventure and he's not his wife, or girlfriend, because he said he never knows what we're going to do next. And it's such a great thing to be someone's adventure, because that's really what it's all about. Having fun, living in the present, not in the future or in the past, but living in the present moment. There's so much magic and miracles that happen. So that's the story of John, and I hope that something that I have added to this episode today with these different techniques, or even John's story, will help you along your journey. Now, if you're still struggling in something in your life and you'd like my help, I have an amazing healing membership program where you can have healings anywhere from 1, 2 to 5 times a week for yourself and or your pets. So I want to encourage you to check that out at asksuelondon.com, and then just hit the membership button and you'll see the different steps. And if you only need healing for a month, that's okay. You're not locked in for a long time. It goes by the month, the subscription program. So I want to encourage you to check that out, because I don't want to see that you go through challenges alone. Nobody deserves to have that happen. Okay. So there's a lot of help out there for you. All right. I encourage you to pray every day. I encourage you to talk to your loved ones on the other side. Reach out to a neighbor. Okay. You're never alone on this journey, whether you have people around you, family, or if you are alone, then sit down and talk to God, talk to the universe, talk to your angels, whoever you feel compelled to talk to. They're all surrounding you every day. Okay. So, on that note, I hope like I said, I hope that I've said something here today that will help you on your journey. And please let me know. How are you doing? What are you going through? What is it that you would like me to share in these episodes that can help you? Okay. I am here for you. I am your conduit to higher powers. And, I want to help you in every way I can. So on that note, I'm just starting to ramble now. Can you hear that? I'm Sue London, and I want to wish you much love and many blessings. And we'll see you again next week. Have a great week, okay? Bye for now.